हे एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू आवर चैनल। स्टार्ट करते हैं डिक्टेशन। 85 वर्ड पर मिनट, 90 वर्ड पर मिनट फ्लैक्चुएट डिक्टेशन रहेगा। सभी स्टूडेंट्स रेडी हो जाएं। स्टार्ट। द फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर in his budget speech has given a review of the economic conditions prevailing in the country during the preceding year. It is no use denying the fact that last year we were rather unhappy. There was a shortfall in agricultural production. There was also an overall shortfall in industrial production. In view of those factors, we might be tempted to take a pessimistic view, but as you are aware, agricultural production in this country has to solely depend to a large extent on the vagaries of the monsoon. Even though our cultivated area in acreage is larger than the cultivated area in China, our production is less than that of China. One of the most important reasons is that the cultivated area under irrigation in India is 21%. In our country, still we are not utilizing modern techniques production, but it is heartening to note that during the last 5 years or so, our consumption of fertilization is increasing. Even then, without the assistance of irrigation, our agricultural production is not likely to improve. Similarly, we had a shortfall in industrial production. The reasons are many, but one of the dominant factors which is now controlling our industrial production is the availability of raw materials. We have to depend on raw materials. Sir, the Honorable Member quoted an article by Professor Galbraith and observed that the socialism to which this government is committed in this country is illusion. He is not a protagonist of socialism himself, and he explained those aspects that is we here in India have much less of regulation of the economy than is the case in countries which have no plans at all. We are unable to direct our economic even to the extent as is being done in countries which do not lay any claim to socialism. That is the main content of Professor Galbraith's article. For what purpose he said that is not the question here. He said that in advanced countries they have tools and instruments for controlling and directing the economy on lines compatible with certain objectives. It is true that we have not got all these tools and instruments sufficiently well developed in this country. The Honorable Member Mr. Dave said that physical and credit regulation was not sufficient for fulfilling plans of this size, magnitude, and complexity. That is perfectly true. Not that we have no instruments. We have some instruments, but as far as I can judge, they are not adequate. On the other hand, when government applies some of these instruments and tools, there are shouts from a number of people against whatever regulation we introduce and practice. Then, the sir, the question of centralization was raised. It was pointed out that planning in this country is centralized and it should now be decentralized. This bill has been brought forward for the purpose of amending the 1954 Act, which originally applied to Part A, state high courts, but after the reorganization has been so adapted as to make it applicable to all the high courts in the present states. Formally, so far as the then British India was concerned, we had the Order of 1937 under the Government of India Act of 1939. That act or the order was in force as appropriately amended or adopted from time to time. Then you are aware that the Constitution was passed and according to Constitution certain rules were laid down both in the body of the Constitution itself as also in one of its schedules. So, certain conditions of service were specified as, for example, the question of the remuneration of the High Court judges, the Chief Justice in the various High Courts, but some matters remained. Therefore, in 1954, an act was passed by Parliament so far as the then Part A state high courts were concerned. Before that, sir, you are aware that after the integration of states, we had under the Constitution what was known as Part B states, and there were high courts therein. So far as these high courts were concerned, an order was passed in 1953 governing the conditions of service of the Part B state high court judges. Subsequently, after the reorganization of states, you are aware, sir, that advantage was taken of the amendments to the Constitution in certain respects so far as the High Court judges were concerned, and those amendments actually came into effect from 1st November 1956. Thus, you will find, sir, that from 1st November 1956 we have the High Court Judges Act of 1954, duly adapted after reorganization. Stop. तो ये रही डिक्टेशन. इट्स अ हाई स्पीड डिक्टेशन. 80 वर्ड पर मिनट जनरली. सी वालों डी वालों का रहता है, फिर सी वालों का 100 वर्ड पर मिनट. तो ये फ्लक्चुएट होके 85, 90 एंड 95 वर्ड पर मिनट. ठीक. 85 वर्ड पर मिनट ये डिक्टेशन है. फ्लक्चुएट होके थोड़े थोड़े इंटरवल्स में ये फ्लक्चुएट हुई है. तो स्टूडेंट्स ज़रूर लिखें इस डिक्टेशन को. एग्ज़ाम हॉल में इसी तरह फ्लक्चुएट होकर डिक्टेशन बोली जाती है. ये नहीं कि एक ही स्पीड पकड़ लिया तो स्पीकर एक ही स्पीड में बोले जा रहा. नो, इट्स अ रॉन्ग. फ्लक्चुएट डिक्टेशन वो लोग करते ही हैं. ठीक है. तो सभी स्टूडेंट्स को ये इस चीज़ की प्रैक्टिस होनी चाहिए. ज़रूर करें. ओके. एंड फर्स्ट टाइम विजिट किए हो चैनल पर तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर करें एंड सेशन को लाइक शेयर ज़रूर करें. टेक केयर.